My name is Richard Hale. I'm 57 years old, and I never imagined I'd be thrown out of a Christmas dinner with my 7-year-old son sitting beside me. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to understand something. This isn't just my story. It's a story about what happens when you finally see the people you love for who they really are. I'm sharing this because maybe you're sitting in your car right now, or hiding in your kitchen, trying to decide if you're crazy for feeling the way you feel about your own family. You're not crazy. I see you. And if this story helps you, please share it. Tell me in the comments where you're listening from, because what happened at that Christmas table still makes my hands shake. It was December 25th, 6:42 in the evening. The turkey was half eaten. My son Austin was sitting next to me, carefully cutting his mashed potatoes into small bites. He was wearing the red sweater I'd bought him for Christmas. He looked so happy. Then my mother-in-law, Barbara, cleared her throat. The room went silent. She looked straight at me with cold, calculating eyes and said 7 words that shattered everything. "You need to leave, now." She didn't yell. Her voice was calm, almost polite, but the words landed like a slap. She looked straight at me, not at Austin, and said it again. "Take the boy and go. You've overstayed." I stared at her, confused. We'd been invited. We'd driven 2 hours to get here. Austin had been so excited about seeing his grandmother. Forks stopped moving around the table. My wife's brother Colin looked down at his plate. My wife's sister, Pauline, took a sip of wine and said nothing. No one objected. No one asked why. They just sat there waiting for me to obey. My chest tightened. I looked across the table at my wife Amanda. She was sitting between her mother and Pauline. I waited for her to say something, to defend me, to ask her mother what she was talking about, but Amanda just quietly folded her napkin. She placed it beside her plate with careful precision. She wouldn't look at me. That's when I understood. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment insult. This wasn't Barbara losing her temper. It was coordinated. They had planned this. The silence stretched out, thick and suffocating. I could hear the clock ticking on the wall. I could hear Austin's breathing beside me. He had stopped eating. His little hand was gripping his fork, frozen in the air. I looked around the table, searching for an ally. Colin kept his eyes down. Pauline's husband, Travis, was staring at his phone. Barbara's husband, my father-in-law Douglas, was cutting his turkey like nothing was happening, and Amanda still wouldn't look at me. My mind was racing. What had I done? I'd been polite all evening. I'd complimented the food. I'd helped set the table. I'd kept Austin quiet and well-behaved. There was no argument, no conflict, nothing that justified this. But looking at their faces, I realized the truth. I didn't need to do anything wrong. They had decided this was happening, and nothing I said would change it. Then Austin whispered something that broke my heart. His voice was so small, so scared. "Dad," he said, tugging on my sleeve. "Did I do something wrong?" No one answered him. No one even looked at him. That silence hurt worse than any words they could have said. I put my hand on Austin's shoulder. "No, buddy," I said quietly. "You didn't do anything wrong." But he didn't believe me. I could see it in his eyes. He thought this was his fault. He thought he'd ruined Christmas. Barbara leaned back in her chair, her arms crossed. She had that look on her face, the one I'd seen 100 times before, the look that said she'd already won. Then she added one final comment, clearly meant to humiliate me in front of everyone. "You were never really family anyway, Richard," she said, her voice dripping with contempt. "We tolerated you for Amanda's sake, but you've been a burden long enough." The words hit me like a punch to the gut. I'd been married to Amanda for 9 years. I'd spent every holiday with these people. I'd helped Douglas fix his roof. I'd loaned Colin money when his business was failing, and now I was being told I was never family. I stood up slowly, not angry, not loud. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't slam my fists on the table. I decided right then that I wouldn't give them the reaction they wanted. I reached down and helped Austin out of his chair. His hands were shaking as he climbed down. I could feel every pair of eyes on us as I helped him into his coat. The red one with the fur-lined hood. My hands were steady, but inside I was screaming. Austin looked up at me, his brown eyes wide with confusion and fear. "Are we going home, Dad?" he asked. "Yeah, buddy," I said, zipping up his coat. "We're going home." Behind us, someone laughed. It was soft, but I heard it. "Colin." My brother-in-law was laughing. The conversation resumed as if we'd never been there. I heard Barbara say something about dessert. I heard the clink of silverware. They had already moved on. We walked to the front door. I grabbed our coats from the rack. My phone was in my pocket, vibrating. I ignored it. We stepped out into the cold December night. The door closed behind us with a heavy thud. I took Austin's hand and led him to the car. He was crying silently, tears running down his cheeks. I buckled him into his booster seat and kissed his forehead. "It's okay," I whispered. "I've got you." I got into the driver's seat and started the engine. My phone was still vibrating. I pulled it out and looked at the screen. It was Amanda. 3 missed calls. I answered. "What?" I said, my voice cold. "Richard, don't cause drama," she said. Her tone was sharp, annoyed. "Just go home. We'll talk after the holidays." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Your mother just threw me out of Christmas dinner in front of our son," I said, "and you sat there and let it happen." "She was upset," Amanda said, as if that explained everything. "You know how she gets. Just give her space." "She said I was never family," I said. "She humiliated me." "You're being dramatic," Amanda snapped. "Just go home, Richard. We'll deal with this later." She hung up. I sat there in the driveway, staring at the phone. I realized something in that moment. Amanda expected me to apologize. She expected me to come crawling back to beg forgiveness for some imaginary crime. She expected me to accept this treatment because that's what I'd always done before, but not this time. I put the car in reverse and backed out of the driveway. Austin was quiet in the back seat. I could see him in the rearview mirror, staring out the window. We drove in silence for about 5 minutes. Then I saw the lights. Red and blue lights flashed behind us. My heart stopped. I looked in the mirror and saw a police car, its lights blazing, right on my tail. "Dad, what's happening?" Austin asked, his voice panicked. "It's okay, buddy," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. "Just stay quiet." I pulled over to the side of the road. The police car stopped behind me. My hands were gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles were white. A police officer got out and walked to my window. He was young, maybe in his 30s, with a serious expression. I rolled down the window. "Good evening, sir," the officer said. "License and registration, please." I handed them over with shaking hands. "Is there a problem, officer?" I asked. The officer looked at my license, then at me. "We received a call," he said. "A report that you refused to leave a residence when asked and that you were acting unstable." The caller expressed concern for the safety of a minor child. My blood ran cold. I knew exactly who had made that call. Barbara. She had called the police on me. She had accused me of being dangerous. She had weaponized the system to punish me for not obeying her fast enough. "Sir, I need you to step out of the vehicle," the officer said. "No," I said firmly. "I haven't done anything wrong. I left the house when asked. I'm driving home with my son." The officer's hand moved to his belt. "Sir, I'm not going to ask again. Step out of the vehicle." Austin started crying. "Dad, please," he whimpered. I took a deep breath. I couldn't let this escalate, not with my son in the car. I unbuckled my seatbelt and stepped out. The cold air hit me immediately. "Turn around and place your hands on the vehicle," the officer said. I did as I was told. My mind was racing. This was insane. I hadn't threatened anyone. I hadn't even raised my voice. But here I was being treated like a criminal because my mother-in-law had made a phone call. The officer patted me down quickly. "Do you have any weapons on you?" he asked. "No," I said. "I'm a 57-year-old man driving home from Christmas dinner with my son. That's all." The officer stepped back. "Wait here," he said. He walked back to his car. I stood there in the cold, my hands on my car while my son watched from the back seat. I felt humiliated, powerless, angry. The officer returned a few minutes later. His expression had changed. He looked less hostile, more confused. "Mr. Hale," he said, "the caller said you refused to leave and were acting erratically, but the call came in at 7:03. You left the residence at approximately 6:50, according to your GPS data." I nodded. "That's right," I said. "I left as soon as I was asked. I didn't argue. I didn't cause a scene. I just took my son and left." The officer looked at me carefully. "So the caller made a false report?" "Yes," I said. "My mother-in-law called you because she wanted to humiliate me. She wanted to make sure I knew she had power over me." The officer wrote something in his notebook. "Do you have any proof you were invited to the residence?" he asked. I pulled out my phone and showed him the text messages. There was the invitation from Amanda, the confirmation from Barbara, the directions. The timestamps showed everything clearly. The officer read through them. His jaw tightened. "Mr. Hale," he said, "I need to ask you something. Is there a custody dispute? Is there any legal issue regarding your son?" "No," I said. "I'm his father. I have full parental rights. There's no dispute." The officer nodded. "I'm gonna let you go," he said, "but I'm filing a report about this false call. You may want to document everything." I got back in the car, my hands shaking. Austin was still crying quietly in the back seat. "It's okay, buddy," I said. "We're going home now." The officer knocked on the window one more time. I rolled it down. "Mr. Hale," he said, "for what it's worth, I'm sorry this happened. If you need this report for legal purposes, you can request a copy from the station." I thanked him and drove away. The rest of the drive home was silent. Austin fell asleep in the back seat. I carried him inside and tucked him into bed. He woke up just long enough to ask me one question. "Dad, are we bad people?" The question broke me. "No, Austin," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "We're not bad people. Some people just don't know how to treat others with kindness." I sat on the edge of his bed until he fell back asleep. Then I went to the living room and sat in the dark. My phone was buzzing with messages. Amanda was texting me, demanding to know why I hadn't answered her calls. Barbara had sent a message saying I'd overreacted. Colin had sent a laughing emoji. I ignored all of them. I realized something sitting there in the dark. Something permanent had to change. I couldn't keep living like this. The next morning, I woke up early. Austin was still asleep. I made coffee and sat at the kitchen table, staring at my phone. I started going through old messages, old emails, old photos. I was looking for patterns, and I found them. For years, I'd been disrespected by Amanda's family. Barbara had made snide comments about my job, my weight, my parenting. Douglas had questioned my decisions. Colin had mocked me, and Amanda had defended them every single time. She'd told me I was being too sensitive. She'd said I needed to toughen up. She'd made excuses for their behavior. I'd ignored it all for peace. I'd swallowed the insults. I'd smiled through the humiliation. But last night they'd crossed a line. They'd involved my son. They'd made him feel unwanted. They'd called the police on me. That wasn't something I could ignore. I opened a new document on my laptop and started writing everything down. Every incident, every insult, every time Amanda had chosen her family over me. I documented the Christmas dinner, the police stop, the text messages. I saved screenshots of everything. By noon, I had a timeline that spanned 9 years. It was damning. And it was all true. That afternoon, Austin asked if we could call Mom. "She's at Grandma's house, buddy," I said. "She'll be home in a few days." Austin nodded, but he looked sad. "Does Mom love us?" he asked. The question gutted me. "Of course she does," I said. But even as I said it, I wasn't sure I believed it. Over the next few days, I kept digging. I went through our financial records, our mortgage documents, our bank accounts, and I found something that made my stomach drop. Our house wasn't jointly owned. It was in Amanda's name only. But it wasn't really hers either. The deed was held in a trust controlled by Barbara. I pulled the documents and read through them carefully. The house had been purchased 5 years ago. Barbara had provided the down payment, but there was a clause in the trust. If Amanda and I divorced, the house would revert to Barbara's control. I would have no claim to it, none. Amanda had never told me this. She'd let me believe we owned the house together. She'd let me pay half the mortgage for 5 years, knowing I'd never have any equity in it. She had lied to me, or worse, she'd always known this was a possibility. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the trust documents. My hands were shaking. I felt betrayed, manipulated, used. Amanda came home 2 days after Christmas. She walked in the door like nothing had happened. "Hey," she said, dropping her bag on the floor. "Where's Austin?" "At his friend's house," I said. "We need to talk." Amanda sighed. "Richard, I don't want to fight." "I'm not fighting," I said. "I'm asking you a question. Did you know our house is controlled by your mother's trust?" Amanda froze. Her face went pale. "How did you? Did you know?" I repeated. She looked away. "Yes," she said quietly. "I knew." The admission hit me like a freight train. "And you didn't think to tell me?" I asked. You let me pay half the mortgage for 5 years knowing I'd never own any of it? It's complicated, Amanda said. Complicated? I repeated. Amanda, you lied to me. You and your mother planned this. She wanted to protect me, Amanda said defensively, in case things didn't work out. Things like what? I asked. Like this, Amanda said. Like you causing problems. I stared at her. I'm not the one causing problems, I said. Your mother threw me out of Christmas dinner. She called the police on me, and you sat there and let it happen. Amanda crossed her arms. You're overreacting. No, I said. I'm done. The next morning, I met with an attorney. His name was Vincent Cole, and he specialized in family law. I brought all my documentation, the timeline, the text messages, the police report, the trust documents. Vincent read through everything carefully. When he finished, he looked up at me with a serious expression. Mr. Hale, he said, you have a strong case here. The false police report is particularly damaging. It shows a pattern of harassment. What can I do? I asked. First, we file for legal separation, Vincent said. Then we establish a custody arrangement that protects your son. The police report will be key evidence. It shows that your wife's family is willing to weaponize law enforcement against you. He leaned forward. Mr. Hale, I need to ask you something. What's your goal here? Do you want reconciliation, or do you want out? I thought about Austin asking if we were bad people. I thought about Amanda sitting silently while her mother humiliated me. I thought about the trust documents. I want out, I said, but I want my son protected. Vincent nodded. Then we move forward, but you need to be prepared. This is going to get ugly. I signed the retainer agreement. Vincent immediately filed a motion for temporary custody and a restraining order against Barbara. The police report became Exhibit A. Over the next 2 weeks, I built my case. I collected witness statements from neighbors who'd seen how Amanda's family treated me. I pulled bank records showing I'd paid for everything while Amanda funneled money to her mother. I documented every text message, every email, every threatening call. Amanda's family thought their harassment was harmless. They thought they could treat me however they wanted without consequences. But everything mattered now. Every insult was evidence, every threat was documented, every lie was exposed. Vincent filed everything with the court. The paper trail grew thicker every day. Then Amanda suddenly wanted to talk. She called me on a Tuesday afternoon. Richard, she said. Her voice was different, softer. Can we meet? I want to apologize. I agreed to meet her at a coffee shop. She arrived looking tired. She sat down across from me and folded her hands. I'm sorry, she said. I should have stood up for you. I should have defended you. I waited. My mother was wrong to do what she did, Amanda continued, and I was wrong to let it happen. It sounded rehearsed. Why are you apologizing now? I asked. Amanda hesitated. Because I don't want to lose you. You already lost me, I said, the night you sat there and let your mother throw me out. Amanda's eyes filled with tears. Please, Richard, can we try again? I shook my head. No, I said, we're done. That night, Barbara sent me a text message. It was cheerful, almost mocking. Richard, let's put this all behind us. Come to dinner this weekend. Let's start fresh. I showed the message to Vincent. They're panicking, he said. They know you're serious. They're trying to de-escalate. What do? I asked. You go, Vincent said. But you record everything, and you stay calm. Let them show their true colors. I agreed to dinner. Barbara seemed thrilled. She texted back immediately with the time and address. Saturday arrived. I dropped Austin off at a friend's house and drove to Barbara's house alone. I wore a button-down shirt with a small recording device hidden in the pocket. Vincent had advised me to record everything. It was legal in our state as long as one party consented. I was that party. I knocked on the door. Douglas answered. Richard, he said, forcing a smile. Come in. I walked into the dining room. Barbara, Amanda, Colin, and Pauline were all there. The table was set beautifully. It looked like a scene from a magazine. Richard, Barbara said warmly. So glad you could make it. I sat down. They passed dishes around. Everyone was polite, smiling, acting like nothing had happened. I stayed calm, respectful, quiet. They thought control had returned. They thought I'd forgiven them. Halfway through dinner, I decided to ask the question. Barbara, I said, my voice steady. Why did you call the police on me Christmas night? The room went silent. Forks stopped moving. Barbara's smile faltered. I didn't call the police, she said. Yes, you did, I said calmly. I have the police report. The call came from your phone number at 7:03. The officer told me. Barbara's face went pale. Amanda looked down at her plate. I was concerned, Barbara said slowly. You seemed unstable. I left your house when you asked me to, I said. I drove away peacefully. Why were you concerned? Barbara's jaw tightened. I wanted documentation, she said. Just in case. Just in case of what? I asked. In case we needed to prove you were dangerous, Barbara said. For Amanda's protection. I nodded slowly. So you filed a false police report to create a paper trail against me. It wasn't false, Barbara said. You were unstable. I was humiliated, I said. There's a difference. Amanda finally spoke up. Mom did what she thought was right. And you agree with her? I asked. Amanda hesitated. Then she nodded. Yes, she said. We had to protect ourselves. I reached into my jacket and pulled out a manila folder. I slid it across the table. Barbara picked it up and opened it. Her face went white. Inside the folder were copies of the custody filings, the restraining order petition, the police report, the timeline of harassment, the bank records showing financial control. Barbara looked up at me, her eyes wide with shock. What is this? She demanded. Evidence, I said calmly. I'm filing for legal separation. I'm seeking primary custody of Austin, and I'm requesting a restraining order against you. Amanda grabbed the folder and read through it. Her hands were shaking. Richard, you can't do this, she said. I already did, I said. It was filed 3 days ago. Colin stood up, his face red with anger. You're tearing this family apart. No, I said. You did that when you treated me like I was disposable. Barbara slammed her hand on the table. You think you can take Austin away from us? I'll bury you in court. I'll make sure you never see him again. You're welcome to try, I said. But the police report you filed works against you now. It shows you're willing to make false accusations. That's not going to look good to a judge. Douglas finally spoke up. Richard, let's be reasonable here. I am being reasonable, I said. I'm protecting my son from people who use him as a weapon. Barbara's face twisted with rage. I'll cut you off, she threatened. You'll have nothing. I smiled. I already have nothing from you, I said. I moved out 2 weeks ago. I filed the paperwork. I protected my son. You can't threaten me anymore. The panic on their faces was immediate. Amanda looked at her mother. Mom, what do we do? He's bluffing, Barbara said. But her voice wavered. I'm not bluffing, I said. The restraining order hearing is next week. You'll be served with papers tomorrow. I stood up. Thank you for dinner, I said. But I won't be coming back. I walked out of the house. Behind me I heard shouting. Barbara was screaming at Amanda. Colin was yelling at Douglas. It was chaos. I got in my car and drove away. My phone started ringing immediately. Amanda, Colin, Pauline, Barbara. I ignored all of them. The next week, the restraining order hearing took place. Barbara's attorney tried to argue that I was vindictive, that I was trying to punish the family. But Vincent presented the evidence. The police report, the text messages, the timeline of harassment. The judge read through everything carefully. When she finished, she looked at Barbara with disgust. Mrs. Winters, the judge said, you filed a false police report against your son-in-law on Christmas night. You then attempted to use that report to gain leverage in a custody dispute. That's a serious offense. Barbara started to protest, but the judge held up her hand. I'm granting the restraining order, the judge said. You are to have no contact with Mr. Hale or the minor child. Violations will result in arrest. Barbara's face went red. Amanda stood up. Your Honor, please. Mrs. Hale, the judge interrupted. You were complicit in this behavior. I'm also ordering supervised visitation for you until we can determine what's in the best interest of the child. The courtroom was silent. Barbara looked like she'd been slapped. Amanda was crying. Colin was shaking his head in disbelief. I sat there calmly, my hands folded in my lap. The judge wasn't finished. Mrs. Winters, she said, I'm also referring this case to the district attorney. Filing a false police report is a criminal offense. You may face charges. Barbara's attorney tried to object, but the judge dismissed them. We're adjourned, she said. I walked out of the courtroom with Vincent. Behind me, I could hear Amanda calling my name. I didn't turn around. Outside, Vincent shook my hand. That went better than I expected, he said. The judge saw right through them. What happens now? I asked. Now we wait for the custody evaluation, Vincent said. But with the restraining order in place, you're in a strong position. I drove home. Austin was with a babysitter. When I picked him up, he ran to me and hugged me tight. "Dad, are we going to see Mom soon?" he asked. "Yes, buddy," I said. "But it's going to be a little different for a while." "Is everything okay?" he asked. "Everything's going to be okay," I said, and for the first time in weeks, I believed it. That night, Amanda called me. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. "Richard, please, I'm begging you. I'll do anything. Just drop the custody case." I listened to the voicemail 3 times. Amanda sounded desperate, broken. But I remembered Christmas night. I remembered her sitting silently while her mother threw me out. I remembered her justifying the false police report. I remembered the trust documents. I deleted the voicemail. The next few weeks were a blur of legal proceedings. Barbara tried to have the restraining order lifted. Her attorney argued that she was just a concerned grandmother. But the judge denied the motion. Amanda begged for unsupervised visitation. The judge ordered a psychological evaluation first. Colin sent me threatening messages. I forwarded them to Vincent. Every move they made worked against them. They were used to bullying people into submission. But the legal system didn't care about their tactics. It cared about evidence. And I had mountains of it. 6 weeks after the restraining order hearing, the custody evaluation was completed. The evaluator interviewed me, Amanda, Austin, and several witnesses. She reviewed all the documentation. When the report came back, Vincent called me immediately. "Richard," he said, "you need to sit down." "What is it?" I asked. "The evaluator is recommending primary custody for you," Vincent said, "with supervised visitation for Amanda and no contact with the maternal grandmother." I couldn't speak. "Richard, you won," Vincent said. "You protected your son." The final custody hearing was scheduled for late February. Amanda showed up to the hearing alone. But Barbara wasn't allowed in the courtroom because of the restraining order. Amanda's attorney presented their case. They argued that I was alienating Austin from his mother. They said I was vindictive. But Vincent presented the evidence. The Christmas dinner incident. The police report. The trust documents showing financial control. The text messages showing harassment. The evaluator's recommendation. The judge reviewed everything carefully. When she spoke, her voice was firm. "Based on the evidence presented, I'm granting primary physical custody to Mr. Hale," she said. "Mrs. Hale will have supervised visitation every other weekend. The no-contact order regarding Mrs. Winters will remain in effect." Amanda started crying. Her attorney tried to object, but the judge was finished. "Mr. Hale has demonstrated that he acts in the best interest of the child," the judge said. "Mrs. Hale and her family have demonstrated a pattern of manipulation and harassment. Until that pattern changes, this custody arrangement will remain in place." I sat there stunned. I'd won. I'd actually won. After the hearing, Amanda approached me in the hallway. "Richard, please," she said. "I'm sorry. I'll do anything. Please don't take Austin away from me." "I'm not taking him away," I said quietly. "You can still see him, but it's going to be on my terms now, not your mother's." Amanda wiped her tears. "I miss him." "Then prove it," I said. "Show up for the supervised visits. Do the work. Be his mother, not Barbara's daughter." I walked away. That night, I picked Austin up from school. "Dad, the teacher said I'm doing really well in math," he said excitedly. "That's great, buddy," I said. "I'm so proud of you." That weekend, Austin had his first supervised visit with Amanda. I dropped him off at the visitation center and waited in the parking lot. Through the window, I could see them playing with blocks together. Austin was smiling. Amanda looked sad, but she was trying. After 2 hours, I picked him up. "Did you have fun?" I asked. "Yeah," Austin said. "Mom said she misses me." "I'm sure she does," I said. Over the next few months, the supervised visits continued. Amanda showed up every time. She did the work. She attended therapy. She started setting boundaries with Barbara. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. As for Barbara, I never saw her again. The restraining order was renewed. She tried to send gifts to Austin through Amanda, but I refused them. She'd made her choice. She'd chosen control over family. Now she had to live with the consequences. One afternoon in May, Austin and I were at the park. He was playing on the swings, laughing and calling for me to watch him go higher. I sat on the bench watching him and felt a deep sense of peace. "Dad, look how high I can go!" Austin shouted. "I see you, buddy," I called back. He was happy. He was safe. He was loved. That Christmas hadn't broken me. It had taught me something important. Protecting your child sometimes means walking away from everyone else, even family, especially family. My name is Richard Hale. I'm 57 years old, and I finally learned that being a good father means putting my son first. Always. In June, Vincent called me with news. "Richard, the district attorney filed charges against Barbara," he said. "She's pleading guilty to filing a false report. She'll pay a fine and do community service." "Will she have a criminal record?" I asked. "Yes," Vincent said. "It's a misdemeanor, but it's permanent." I didn't feel victorious. I just felt tired. Barbara had brought this on herself, but I took no joy in her consequences. I only cared about Austin. That summer, Austin and I moved into a new apartment. It was small but comfortable. He picked out paint colors for his room. We hung up his artwork. We made it our own. Amanda's supervised visits eventually became unsupervised. She earned back trust slowly. She still saw Austin every other weekend, but she understood now. Austin's safety came first. One evening, Amanda called me. "Richard, I want to thank you," she said. "For what?" I asked. "For protecting Austin," she said. "For being strong when I wasn't." I didn't know what to say. "I'm sorry for everything," Amanda continued. "I should have stood up for you. I should have chosen you and Austin over my mother." "You can't change the past," I said, "but you can choose differently going forward." "I know," she said, "and I'm trying." We hung up. I believed her. She was trying. It was too late for our marriage, but it wasn't too late for her relationship with Austin. That was worth something. Christmas came around again. This time, Austin and I celebrated alone in our apartment. We made cookies. We watched movies. We opened presents. "Dad, this is the best Christmas ever," Austin said, hugging me. "I'm glad, buddy," I said. "Can we do this every year?" he asked. "Just us?" "Absolutely," I said. Later that night, after Austin went to bed, I sat on the couch and reflected on the past year. It had been the hardest year of my life, but it had also been the most important. I'd learned to set boundaries. I'd learned to document everything. I'd learned to protect what mattered most. And I'd learned that sometimes the people who hurt you the most are the ones who are supposed to love you. Barbara was out of our lives. Amanda was rebuilding trust. Colin and Pauline had disappeared. And Austin was thriving. He was happy, he was confident, he knew he was loved. That was all that mattered. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Vincent. "Merry Christmas, Richard. You should be proud of what you've accomplished." I smiled and typed back, "Merry Christmas. Thank you for everything." I set the phone down and looked at the small Christmas tree in the corner. The lights were twinkling softly. That Christmas didn't break me. It taught me that protecting your child sometimes means walking away from everyone else. And I would do it again. Every single time.